Authorizing. 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 Authorizing.
What is up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in for episode 3 of Pinstripes Uncensored. It's your boy CK, and I got my guy right here, King of the Pinstripes.
Let's
King
go.
of the Pinstripes, talk to the people. How you doing?
Doing great. It's going to be a very special show today. Let's get it going.
Let's go. We can't wait for people to tune in. But baseball's back. Baseball's going to be back in less than 30 days. Yankees spring training underway. We got some top performers and a couple of injuries, unfortunately.
I feel like we're back to how we used to be. Starting out with injuries and just letting it pile on. But we have a special guest coming on. Somebody really special. The legend of the New York Yankees himself, Ray Negron. My guy.
What's going on, boys? Good morning.
Good morning, Ray.
Good
Pleasure
morning.
to meet you. I've heard good stuff about this guy, so I'm looking forward to meeting you.
Thank you, bro.
So, you want to tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Ray Negron. Born in the Bronx. It's where my story starts, and hopefully it's where it'll end. And 1973, as many know, it was the year that George Steinbrenner purchased the New York Yankees in January of that year. In June of that year, I was outside Yankee Stadium doing graffiti with some friends, etc. And I was caught doing graffiti. I was grabbed. I was put in a holding cell that they used to have at the old Yankee Stadium. And when one of the officers said, well, he wasn't actually an officer, he was a security guard at the stadium. He said, that's where these people belong. There's nothing you can do with them. And when he said that, the man that was in charge said, give me the kid. And all of a sudden, they dragged me into the Yankee locker room. They gave me a uniform. And in order to pay work off the damages, he made me the Yankee bat boy. And that man was George Steinbrenner. And for him, I owe words can't say how much I owe him.
Back then, did you ever imagine your life would turn out to be the way it is today? Still in the organization, still doing great work?
Well, in my house, there were 7 boys. And of the 7 boys, I'm the only one that's alive today.
Ooh.
So to imagine anything other than, no, I couldn't imagine anything. I couldn't imagine just to have a good life, let alone the life with Major League Baseball, with the Yankees, with George Steinbrenner, Billy Martin, Thurman, Reggie, Bucky, Lou Piniella. I mean, no.
What are your thoughts on how running the team as an owner, do you think George would be proud of how his son is running the team?
Let me start by saying George would be proud because that's his son who he loved. People have to understand that the passion that George Steinbrenner had for the Yankees is going to be different than anybody that will ever own the Yankees. And the Yankees were his dream. The Yankees were his everything. Uh, as George Steinbrenner always said, owning the Yankees is like owning the Mona Lisa. So you can't ask for Hal, who was his son born into it, to have that kind of passion. I think he's running it as a sound business, and he has to be responsible for all the different partners and family that are involved with the organization. So he's doing it the best that he can. George Steinbrenner could be reckless. He ran it like a renegade. He ran it tough. He ran it like he wanted it to be like the incredible best. The passion that he had, I've never seen in any human being. The only other man that I could say in my life of knowing people that had that kind of passion was Muhammad Ali.
Mhm.
Okay, so you can't ask anybody to have George Steinbrenner, Muhammad Ali passion, because it ain't gonna happen.
So
Okay.
today, um, the LA Dodgers is running things like the old time when the boss was alive. You think we should go back to being that way in spending money, or the way Hal is running things? That's the correct way to do it in today's day.
Well, what people don't understand is that the Dodgers have different kind of money, and you got to remember that the Dodgers not only have investment money from America, but they also have majored almost equal dollar from Japan. Other teams don't have that. The only person that comes close, and he's not even there, is Steve Cohen. Okay, so the Yankees are doing it. I mean, this is a different time, and it's a different money, and that never comes up. I'm on the inside, so I see, and I have an understanding for it. I mean, how George spent in those days. George spent money that he didn't even have to get Reggie and Catfish and those guys. And remember something: when George Steinbrenner got Reggie Jackson, making $1 million a year was a big dollar. Okay, so we're not talking about $40 million here. You know, and that makes it for a big difference. We don't even know from the evolution of time could George Steinbrenner have afforded Soto today or things to that effect, which I don't know.
Hal changed a policy from back then. It was the facial hair policy. What do you think? Like, what came to mind when you saw the breaking news that they will allow Yankees today to have facial hairs? It's just the
Um,
time, just like the world changing, everything changes in life.
Again, I use the word evolution because things change. It's like someone once said to me, Babe Ruth couldn't play today. And I said to him, see, you don't know what you're talking about because through evolution, Babe Ruth was one of the bigger guys then at 6'2" and 215 pounds. Today, because of, again, evolution, Babe Ruth would be 6'7" and almost 280 pounds. He would be Aaron Judge. You see what I'm saying? Because people don't understand. Babe Ruth was hitting more home runs than teams. So going back to your question, yeah, when that happened and we got Devin Williams, and you're talking about a guy who's on his last year of his contract, you know, today you things are just done different, and there is no George Steinbrenner. You know, it's easy to say, oh, George would have done this, George would have done that, but there's no George. And Hal's not George. You know, Hal is Hal. And he's got, again, like I said, he's got a responsibility to I don't know how many partners, and he's got to like run this ship as best as he can. And look, you got guys today with beards running down to their testicles. Okay. And so for us to have a neat beard, what's the harm? And I'm as old school as they come. You know, I unfortunately live so much in the past. Like I sit in my room here in Florida, and I live in a time capsule. As I'll show you, this is a time capsule of
Yeah.
everything that I've lived in 50 years. You know what I'm saying? It's a time capsule. And when I need to meditate and pray and think about Thurman Munson and things to that effect, I have to sit in here and let me tell you, I do a lot of crying in here because I miss what was. You understand? I miss what was. I miss how I used to be treated. I miss how George Steinbrenner used to say to me, "Hey, you are as important as anybody here. You mean something to the world." You know, I miss that.
When you
Uh,
say you miss how you were treated, what do you mean by that?
it's just that I'll never have what I had. I used to like feel. I mean, egotistically, I used to feel special when I walked to the stadium. And again, there is no George Steinbrenner anymore, so I that treatment isn't like it used to be. I'm respected. I'm respected, but it's a nice feeling when you come from nothing. When you come from nothing, and a man, maybe the most powerful man in all of sports, tells you that you are somebody, and always keep your head up. I'm going to give you an example of that. I was at an event with Mr. Steinbrenner, and all of his friends that he knew from school when he went to college. These are guys that went to Yale, Harvard, Columbia. I mean, you name it, Ivy League schools. And so I was embarrassed to be in their presence. So I was like looking down, and he says to me, "Negron, put your head up. Put your head up." And so I was getting embarrassed. And he says, "Don't you understand that these assholes could never graduate from the college that you graduated from?" And I'm wondering, like, what's he talking about? I didn't graduate from college. And he goes, "You're a graduate of the University of Steinbrenner, and none of these guys could ever have graduated from there." And that was a beautiful moment for me. A lot.
All right.
When
So
when you think of Thurman Munson, what comes to mind?
My big brother.
mm,
I am a great, not a good dad. I'm a great dad because of Thurman Munson. Because he used to fly home just to tuck his kids to bed. Could you imagine? That was the number. Like I always used to say, why do you do this? Why do you get on this small plane like that, man? I couldn't do it. Come on, come with me. No way. Because I used to drive him to the airport. And he said, "Ray, when you become a dad, you'll understand." And the last time that I was with him, he said, "Promise me that you will always be a good dad." So when I see my kids, I always think of Thurman.
So how is it possible Thurman isn't in the Baseball Hall of Fame? Why do you think that is?
Because Thurman was a man's man. And Thurman used to tell writers where they can go when they used to hit him up with tough questions. And Thurman was very protective of his teammates, which is why his teammates loved him so much. And that's one of the reasons why.
Okay. So you talk a lot about your relationship with George Steinbrenner. Is there like any like life lessons or like conversations that helped you in your like your personal life, like as a father, as an author, all that?
I used to be ashamed of where I lived. One day I was coming out of the stadium, it was late, and he says, What are you doing? I said, I'm going to jump on the train and go home. And he says, No, get in the car. We'll take you home. And as we were driving to my house, um, like we were going through a tough neighborhood, and he was going, Jesus Christ, imagine having to live like this. And I said, Boss, I live like this. And he got real quiet. And he dropped me off at my house, make sure I got in. And then, like the next day, he says, You want to have lunch? I said, I am hungry. So then he went into the neighborhood, and we went to a restaurant in the neighborhood, a Spanish restaurant. And the people were so excited to see a man like that, make them feel special. And he wasn't like bragging, he was like trying to act like one of them. And he can be the toughest mother effer in the world, let me tell you. And he treated us, the poor, better than he treated the rich. He always tried to make us feel special. And that's why I live my life like I ain't no better than nobody, if you know what
So,
I mean.
what inspired you to get involved in charity work?
Absolutely. Because I saw what he used to do. And, I always remember that, like, money doesn't mean crap to me. I don't care about money. I don't live like that. And I always remember that when Jesus died, when Jesus was crucified, how much was he worth?
No.
Okay? You understand? How much earthly value was he worth? You know? And that's why. Oh, I was reading the other day, Jackie Chan, right?
Mhm.
He's worth $400 million. And he did his will. And all that money is going to charities. Somebody asked him, What about your kids? He says, I've been taking care of my kids since they were born, and I gave them everything, and I gave them an education, and now it's up to them to go to the next level on their own. And I thought that was I thought that was beautiful. I thought that was incredible. And my kids, they never asked me for anything, ever. But they have their careers, they've worked it, they earned it. Nobody ever gave them anything. They earned it on their own, you know? And that's why charity and how George was, and man, Billy Martin was the same way. Durham was the same way. And people don't even realize what Reggie Jackson does. So it is what it is. Let me put it to you this way. George Steinbrenner once said to me, like I was sneaking these kids into the park, right? Because because they didn't have the money to pay for tickets. Bronx kids. So I was sneaking them in, and some security guard catches me, and he couldn't wait to run to Mr. Steinbrenner to say, Ray Negron is sneaking his friends. All of a sudden, they're my friends. I didn't know these kids from Adam. I just knew that they wanted to see a game. And you know what? The upper deck was empty. Let me put them up there. You know what I'm saying? What harm was I going to do? And so the guy ran in, because I'm not always the most popular guy. You know, the jealousy in sports is crazy. So the guy, Mr. Steinberg, said, bring the girl in here. So when I walked into his office, he said to the guy, okay, I got it from here, Pat. Thank you. And so then the boss turned to me and he says, how many kids? I said, 13. He went into his pocket and gave me $200. And he said, get them whatever they need, popcorn, anything they need. If you run out of cash, come back. And so I was leaving, and then he said, hey, hold up. He says, how come you didn't tell me that you was bringing these kids in? I said, because they're not associated with anybody. And he said, F labels, man, F labels. He said, there's still people. And after that, uh, I don't associate with anything other than helping. If there's any group comes to me and they say they need help, if I can help them, I will. If I can't help them, I'll tell them that too. You understand?
Um, you've been in the Yankee organization for a lot of years. Is there a player that emphasized what it meant to be Yankee or Pinstripe Pride the best?
That's a hard question. It's a hard question, you know, because in the Steinbrenner era, I feel that I'm the best to try to answer that question because I was around the players through those years more than anybody. And Derek Jeter's terrific. Okay, Derek Jeter's terrific. Thurman Munson, wonderful. Um, eh, I can't answer that question.
Gotcha.
It's a tough one. Billy Martin was great, and everybody did it everybody had their own way of doing things. So I can't say that one was better than the other. I just get Dave Winfield was good. He wasn't the best, but he was good. You
Gotcha.
know,
Mm-hmm.
Roy White is good.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough. The greatest was George Steinbrenner from the standpoint of what he did. But from the standpoint of a player, it's tough question.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's a good question.
Appreciate
Alex
that.
Rodriguez will never get the credit for what he's done because he was good. He was good. I used to go to Alex and I say, "Hey, I need these kids. I got like about 30 kids that can't afford to play Little League this year." And for 11 years, he gave me $10,000 to put kids into Little League. For 11 years.
Amazing.
So, speaking of A-Rod, do you think he gets the respect he deserves?
No, no. A lot of that is A-Rod's fault. Okay, it was A-Rod's fault. He did some stupid things. But for me, Alex Rodriguez is a Hall of Famer. He should be in the Hall of Fame because he was great. He was a great player. Did he mess up with the steroids? Yes. But you know what? The one thing I learned from George Steinbrenner, everybody deserves a second chance. Look, Doc Good and Darryl Strawberry. Everybody deserves a second chance. Big Papi, he's in the Hall of Fame. He dabbled, and I'm not against it at all. He belongs in the Hall of Fame. Great, great guy, great player. Belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Getting his number retired in the Yankee in Monument Park. You think it will ever happen, or does he belong to have his number retired?
Again, that's a tough question because remember, we don't have a George Steinbrenner that's huge, that was huge on second chances, you know? So that's a tough question. Because there are guys that belong in Monument Park that aren't in Monument Park, like Bobby Mercer belongs in Monument Park. Roy White belongs in Monument Park. Because they were great Yankees who were world champions, you know? They belong. Bobby Mercer wasn't a world champion, but he was a champion, and he was a champion of men, and he was a very good Yankee, and he nobody exemplified the brand like he did.
So you mentioned a lot of great Yankees, but I think you're missing one. A guy who I'm really liked, Willie Randolph, who I think could be like a manager one day. Like, what was your relationship with him?
Me and Willie played together in the minor leagues. We were together in the Pittsburgh Pirate organization. Okay, and Willie looked out for me when I was a scared kid in the Pirate organization. And Willie Randolph was again world champion. He's got his number. No, he doesn't have his number retired, but he is in Monument Park. You know, he is in Monument Park. He was a captain of the Yankees. I mean, well, he's been glorified. You know, I wish he was working with us.
Hmm.
You know, like he's here now as a special instructor, like Bucky Dent is. But but I think that overall, he's been glorified. Fans love him. Fan favorite. You know, maybe the greatest second baseman in Yankee history. Maybe.
Yes. Hmm.
Maybe. I
Hmm.
mean, Tony Lazzari was pretty damn good too. You
When
know.
you said you wish he is working with us, I see someone like Donnie Baseball, who is one of my favorites, not with the organization. Why do you think that is?
Um. That I can't answer that question because I just you know Donnie wanted to be the manager of the Yankees. It didn't work out for whatever the reason. I wasn't in on the interview process at that time when they went to Girardi instead of Donnie. So I don't know what happened. I mean, was Girardi's interview that great? Maybe. He's a very intelligent guy. So I don't know. That's a good question. All I know is he's happy in Toronto and he's done a great job over there.
So we got like many viewers, listeners that want to work for the Yankees in some capacity. Like, what characteristics or trait will make up a successful employee for the New York Yankees?
Um, just know the analytics. It's a different world today. Know the analytics. Be a good person. Don't be afraid to work crazy hours. It should never be about the money. If you do a good job, the money will come when it's supposed to come. You know what I'm saying? But if you're gonna go there because you want to make a lot of money, then it's the wrong business to be in.
So I'm gonna go back to Jeter, A Rod, and all those special players that we spoke about. When you think about Derek Jeter, what comes to mind? Or
Derek Jeter, whenever I had a sick kid, I would during the Jeter era, I would always bring him to Jeter. I would never ask him, "Can we do this? Can I do that?" And I would never ask because I was always afraid to get a no. You know what I'm saying? So I would just bring the kid over to him, and he always delivered. He always came through. He always made those kids feel wonderful. And many of those kids died. And one kid in particular, Chaz Palminteri, asked me if I could have Jeter meet this little boy who was going to die. And when I brought him to Jeter, he made him feel like he was his friend. And when the little boy died months later, I'll never forget. I was walking in the locker room, and Jeter says to me, "Hey, how's my little friend doing?" And the moment that happened, the mother texts me to tell me that the little boy had died the night before. And I showed him the text, and the chills, you could see the in his arms, the goosebumps in his arms. And I never had to say anything more. He didn't say anything to me, but the look in his face told the story of how sad he was.
So speaking of Derek Jeter and his greatness for the Yankees, or those little three other Yankees, or four Yankees, include Bernie, part of the core four. How do you describe Jorge Posada, Andy Pettitte, and even Bernie Williams during your tenure?
Bernie Williams is one of the nicest guys you could ever meet, and he belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Okay? If
Agreed.
Kirby Puckett's in the Hall of Fame, God bless his soul, rest in peace. Bernie Williams belongs in the Hall of Fame. Okay? You look at the careers, and Bernie was a 4-time world champion. Okay? So that's what I have to say on Bernie Williams. Jorge Posada, if he was with any other team, he'd be in the Hall of Fame.
Mhm.
Okay? But because there were so many players, great players, Bernie got lost in the shuffle. You know, but but Bernie did too. But Posada got lost in the shuffle. Posada's a Hall of Famer, and he's one of the better guys I've ever known.
Andy Pettitte and Mariano.
Mariano, well, I mean, there's nothing for me to say about Mariano. I mean, the greatest of all time. Is he the most important? For me, he's the greatest reliever of all time. The most important reliever in the Steinbrenner era was a guy named Sparky Lyle. Because of what he did. He pitched almost 5 innings and left his arm in Kansas City. If he don't give us those 5 innings in 1977, we don't go to the World Series. Reggie Jackson doesn't hit the 3 home runs and become Mr. October, and George doesn't win that first World Championship. And in turn, he doesn't improve the club the following year when we won that other World Championship. So God knows what would have happened had Sparky not done what he did, and he'll never get credit for that. He'll never get credit for that. People say in those days who did that, but they don't say what he did, how he sacrificed. Okay? And remember, Mike Torres in game 6 had to pitch a full game, because Sparky was like, he was shot. And remember that winter, even though Sparky won a Cy Young Award as the best reliever in the American League, we still had to go and get Goose Gossage because we weren't sure what we were going to have with Sparky. You know what I'm saying? People don't see that.
Hey, what about sorry.
When it comes to Andy Pettitte, again, Hall of Famer. I mean, look at it this way. I love CC Sabathia.
Yes.
Okay? I love CC Sabathia. But was he in his career that much better than Andy Pettitte, that he doesn't go into the Hall of Fame? That Pettitte doesn't go in the Hall of Fame? I don't think so. And that's no disrespect. CC belongs, but so does Pettitte. You
You
got
think
Mike
the voting?
Mike Mussina in the Hall of Fame. Okay, big game. Am I pitching Mussina or am I pitching Pettitte? Answer that question. I'm
Andy
pitching
Pettitte.
Pettitte every day.
You think the voting system is broken when it comes to the Hall of Fame?
I can't answer that question because I just don't know. I just don't know. I don't know, because you know what, you have the Veterans Committee, and they don't get it right. Okay, why isn't through the Veterans Committee? How come Thurman didn't get in? Through the Veterans Committee, how come Louis Tiant didn't get in? Okay, how come Lou Piniella didn't get in? You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what's right. I don't know what works. I just don't know. Do we leave it to the fans to vote? I mean, this is their Hall of Fame. We vote for President of the United States, so why can't we vote for Hall of Fame?
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Why do we leave it to these nincompoops who have no idea? They didn't follow the Yankees the way the fans did. I'd rather you two guys vote than some guy from Nebraska who has voting rights.
We should make that happen. Chris and I.
You know, ridiculous. So I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. I don't know what's right. I don't know what's wrong.
All right, so this has been a really great interview. You mentioned a lot of your charities. Can you mention where the people can find you and maybe possibly help out with your charities? If you have a website or something.
I have a website, Ray Negron Yanks. The best way is my Instagram because I deal with the Instagram, my Instagram myself. Other people do everything else, but I do the Instagram myself. You know what I'm saying? And I answer it every day. Anybody, what do you call it? I respond. Just let me just say this. I want the people out there to respect the Bat Boys. I love the Bat Boys. The Bat Boys are the 27th man on the team, and people will never understand the importance of that job. I've known some great people that have major jobs in politics and in show business and in law enforcement. And when you ask them, "Hey, what's the best job you ever had?" They'll tell you being a Yankee bat boy.
Right here, I have two of your books. One of them is called The Greatest Story Never Told. Want to tell anyone about this book?
I'm very proud of that book because two of the greatest men that I have felt in my lifetime was Martin Luther King and Muhammad Ali.
Mm-hmm.
That you're wearing on your T-shirt right now.
Today I woke up feeling Ali. You know what I'm saying? Whenever I'm not having a great day, I think of Muhammad Ali because you're talking about a guy who he was the greatest at what he did, and then he had a fall from grace because the system tried to bring him down. He couldn't fight for 5 years, and then finally the court system let him come back, and he became world champion again. You know, and it was the second time around that I got to know Muhammad Ali, and I loved Muhammad Ali because he was such a people person, such a like nobody's business, man. He was great. And then when he got the Parkinson's, and I know about Parkinson's, man, and it's a horrible, horrible disease. he never, he never bitched about it. You know what I'm saying? In his in the best way possible, he was still Muhammad Ali. One time, I wanted my oldest son, who was like 10 at the time, and I wanted him to learn about life. And I told that to Muhammad Ali, and he says, "Bring him to my house, and we're gonna hang out together." And we spent a whole afternoon, me, my son, and Muhammad Ali. His wife was there, but she was just doing like housework, and he just like schooled him. He educated him on life, and it was beautiful, man. And I shut up as much as I could because I was loving them going back and forth, and it was just something that I never forgot. So I've been blessed from the standpoint of that I've gotten to meet some great people who were true mentors per se. You know what I'm saying? Like Reggie Jackson was a great mentor to me. Great mentor. Wonderful. And he taught me a lot. He taught me a lot about life. When George Steinbrenner had me traveling with the team, I'll never forget. I used to answer Reggie's fan mail. So I go to Reggie's apartment to go do my errands per se for him. And when I walked in, he said, "Don't take your jacket off. We're going shopping." So when that meant that I would be carrying the bags and stuff. So we go shopping. We went to this men's outlet, and he uh, he says, "Get him some shirts, get him some pants, and a couple of jackets, because if he's going to be traveling with the Yankees, he's got to look like a Yankee."
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, he went shopping for me, and I thought that was like unbelievable.
So I have another book of yours right here. Yankee
Yankee
Miracle.
Miracles. Yeah, that's just my I love you to the boss. That was it's my story about how I felt about certain people in the organization, and I close with the boss at the end. And each chapter has a song. If you read the book, each chapter starts with a song, and from the standpoint of the individuals. And at the very end is the George Steinbrenner chapter. And the song that I use is the best thing that ever happened to me by Gladys Knight. And the words were appropriate, very appropriate. I only wish that he was alive to have read it. But
Mhm.
he read some of my other books, and he was really proud. He was really proud that I had done that I had become a best-selling author. And he didn't let too many people in the organization write books. So you can imagine that there was certain jealousies there. And like I was like hesitant in doing the very first one, which was The Boy of Steel. And he said, "The hell with what anybody thinks, just do it." And that's why I did it. And then when I did the first book and it became a big hit, people were saying, there's no way that he did that book. You know what I'm saying? He's not educated enough to have done that book. And Steinbrenner heard that, and he says, "Now you got to do another book just to show that the first one wasn't a fluke." So I went back to HarperCollins, and they gave me a 3-book deal, and I just popped one after the other. And as a matter of fact, in the process of the books being bestsellers, one of the books was an International Book of the Year. And we beat Gloria Estefan, who had just done her children's book. And I was really, I was more proud of the fact that I beat Gloria Estefan than the situation with the book. I'm still dreaming. I still have goals. I'm still trying to reach for the stars, and I'm still battling my fears. You know what I'm saying? Because I've won. You ever hear the Frank Sinatra song "That's Life"?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, listen to those words. You know, up in April, shot down in May. You know what I mean? That's our lives, and I've gone through that. I've been up, I've been down, I've been over and out. I mean, it is what it is, and that's why I like the fact that when we lose games, they're going to be playing that song every once in a while,
Mhm.
because for me it's an appropriate song. Mr. Sinatra was my friend. Mr. Sinatra would, he would have approved of this because that's life was special to him, and it meant get up, get up. Let's go, get up. They knocked us on our ass right now. Now let's get up. That's what that song means. So for me, appropriate. I like it.
So when I look at you, I think about George Steinbrenner, Reggie Jackson, Billy Martin. So Billy Martin, with the relationship he had with Reggie Jackson, do you think, I'm not saying this, many people, they say this in an everyday occurrence in life when it comes to Aaron Boone. Do you think Aaron Boone is too soft, or it's just who he is?
Look, there was only one Billy Martin. You know, there will never be another. That's what made him so special. He was a gangster. He wasn't afraid to throw a punch at anybody. When I used to go out with Billy, I used to get nervous every once in a while because I used to say, "Oh my God, are we going to get into a tussle over here?" So, but but he was also so unique, so special, so wonderful. He treated me like, hey, you know how I met Frank Sinatra? Through Billy Martin.
Hmm.
So there was a racist piece of garbage that worked at Yankee Stadium who really put me down like you wouldn't believe. And Billy found out about this and took care of business with the guy. I'm not even going to get into that. And then I was like feeling like, man, why did I have? I had literally said I was ashamed of my color. You understand? I was ashamed. And Billy was so angry with me, and he wanted to slap the crap out of me. You know what I'm saying? But instead of slapping the shit out of me, he took me to dinner. That like 2 nights later, we went to a restaurant called Patsy's, and Frank Sinatra was there, and he told Mr. Sinatra what I had said, and Mr. Sinatra, who was so much like Billy, and really put it to me from the standpoint of be proud. You always be proud of who you are. The hell with whoever. And if you know anything about Frank Sinatra, you know that this is a man who, when he went to Las Vegas and they wouldn't allow Sammy Davis Jr. to stay in his hotel, Mr. Sinatra said, "Then I ain't performing. He can't stay here. I ain't performing here because he's as a good a person as I know and better than any of you. And he can't be here. Sorry, it ain't happening." And they changed all the rules in Vegas for that because of Mr. Sinatra. And he always told me, you be proud of who you are. And to this day, when you go to Patsy's, they have a portrait of me and Mr. Sinatra and Billy Martin there that's been there since those days. So it you know you can't you can't compare the eras. Again, I'm going to use that word, the evolution of time. You can't beat up the guys the way they used to beat them up in those days. Do I like that? No, because for me, I was a second round draft pick, second round. Okay. And the only reason that happened was because I had a great coach who used to put me in my place all the time. And that made me a better player. That made me, when I was drafted, I was the best player in the city. I got drafted higher than Willie Randolph was a seventh round pick. Okay. I was a second round pick. We laugh about that to this day because when I got there, I shouldn't have bet. I didn't perform like I was supposed to, and when I didn't, they sent me home, and I was back with the Yankees again. When Steinbrenner found out that I had gotten released, well, bring him back here. You gotta let him come back to work, and that's what happened.
Hmm.
So, my one last question, Brian Cashman. When you think of Brian Cashman, What comes to mind?
Very, very loyal to the Yankee brand. A very loyal guy. He's a decent guy. He's a very decent guy, very loyal guy. He knows the game like forget about it. And he's a lot tougher than people give him credit for. He's a very tough guy, but a good guy. But a good guy. That's what I think. Because I know you want to know is should he still be there and stuff like that. And
Many
I
Yankee
mean,
fans, not myself, but speaking for
yeah.
others that really want to probably know reasons why he doesn't do certain trades and signings. So I'm asking you,
But
is
here,
he
okay, let me put it to you this way. If Brian Cashman wasn't there, I look at all these other teams, okay? I look at all these other teams, and the same questions I are asked of all these different general managers. The same thing, because you go to the Mets. How come they didn't do this? How come they didn't do that? How come they didn't do this? You know, Toronto. How come they didn't sign Vlad? How come they didn't do? I mean, Cleveland. You go to every team, and it's the same thing. So if that's going to be the case, then might as well just keep Brian Cashman because the next guy that you brought in here was going to do the same thing anyway. And you know what? When it comes to Boone, look at the other managers in baseball. Look at all the other managers. Can you tell me what other manager you would want other than Boone? Please tell me. I want to know.
I'm all for Aaron Boone staying here. I said that on my last episode. I love how they re-signed him. Other people are pretty much pissed off about it. I love it because I feel like if he gets fired, they bring in someone exactly like him. Might as well just have Aaron Boone stay. He already knows the organization. Players love
Exactly.
him.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, hey, good guy, great baseball pedigree. The players respect him. It is what it is.
You think they should give him more to work with? When I'm referring back to Cashman, for example, third base.
Well, look, I only have one move that I wish that they would have made.
And which one?
If you couldn't get a star to play third base, okay, then when Gio Urshela was available, I wish they would have signed Gio for the kind of money that he got for Oakland. Okay, and again, I say that because I may be the biggest Gio Urshela fan in the world. I love Gio. I love the person. Uh, just I love the third baseman. For me, defensively, as good as anybody that's ever played for the Yankees defensively. Okay, and that includes Nettles. All right, so it is what it is. I mean, for me, Nettles is number one. I mean, Nettles was incredible. Okay, but Gio, nasty, nasty, and he would have hit enough. Okay, Atlanta doesn't go to the to the playoffs last year without Gio Urshela.
Mhm.
You see this
So
year's Yankees team, and what do you think about this year's Yankees team?
The Yankee team is going to the World Series,
Mhm.
and in a short series, in a 7-game series, we will have a shot at beating the Dodgers in a short
Mhm.
series. Anything can happen. Let's not forget the '69 Mets and how they beat a very powerful Baltimore Oriole team, and the Oriole team had just as good a pitching as the Met team and more hitting. But who won? The Mets in 5. Okay, I never forget that, and that's why I believe that we can be world champions this year. I really believe that. Okay, and listen, we get into July, the dog days. We'll make and we need something. Cash is going to go and get it.
Well, Ray, It was a fun interview.
Yep. So listeners, please follow his Instagram, check out his website, get involved with charities.
Yes. And whenever you need anything, when it comes to giving back, doing any type of work, just know that I'm here. Always wanted to give back. And that is something that I'll probably text you about because I would love to know how I could get myself involved in giving back to others.
Go double for me too.
No, I appreciate that, and we have International Baseball Little League in the Bronx, and maybe you guys can help us with that. I know I got Gary Cooper's daughter, Maria Cooper, as the commissioner. She's helping our guy over there that runs that Little League, Gabrielle Persic-Pal. And Maria Cooper is the daughter of Gary Cooper, who was the star of the movie The Pride of the Yankees. And we're going to be showing that movie to all the kids in the Bronx this year before the Little League season, so that they can get souped up. If you guys have never seen The Pride of the Yankees,
I saw it.
please watch it. Please
That's a good
watch
one.
it,
Yeah, I saw it.
because that's the film that really inspired me to love the game of baseball.
Fun fact, Babe Ruth in the film, the real Babe Ruth, he's playing
The real
himself.
Babe Ruth, exactly. There's like 5 Yankees in that film, 5 from that era.
Mm-hmm.
So King of Pinstripes, you need to watch that film.
You got it. I will definitely watch it.
Okay, it's the best baseball movie ever done. The best. It's not even close. Field of Dreams, all of that, I love them, but it's no Pride of the Yankees.
You heard it here. Ray, I appreciate you. Thank you so
Pleasure knowing
much.
you too.
Thank you so much, and enjoy and have fun in Tampa.
Take care of yourself, and thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, and thank you for the respect. Okay, that you felt I was good enough to be on your show. So thank you.
You're a legend. I told you that. You're
We're
a
all
legend.
legends. We're all legends. Sometimes in our own minds, but we're all legends. Remember
Chris
that.
and I are very thankful to have a legend on.
Please.
Take care, guys.
All right.
Take care.
Go Yanks.
Honor. All right. Well, this has been episode 3 of Pinstripes Uncensored. Tune in next week. Hopefully, do episode 4. But I'm CK. This King of Pinstripes.
Go Yanks. Let's go.
Let's go Yankees.